Okay, this is version 3 of DynCorp, Haiti, and Me, and there's Pug Winokur up there in the corner doing some revolutions and doing some fun stuff, maybe some sex trafficking, maybe some organ harvesting. I'm going to go right to the next page, which is going to talk about the news or the updates that have happened through today. I mentioned that there's these groups out there that are kind of like motivated Christian groups or mostly motivated Christian groups that think they're doing the right thing, that basically get convinced that the Michael Ruperts of the world and the Gary Webbs are bad guys. They did something wrong. And they get filmed in some kind of weird way, and you know, they have a kid dance in front of them at a restaurant or something, and they film it. And of course, the person is just going to look up and stare at him like, "What are you doing, kid?" And then they're going to be saying, "Well, he's a pervert. He's a pedophile. Here, this proves it. Look at him staring at this little kid, or bringing this little kid over." So there's all kinds of ways to set people up to make them look, to bad jacket them. It's what's called bad jacketing. But you also want to have a group of government people that have all the top power of all the technology of the United States government, and this is going to be the Secret Service. And this is something else Michael Rupert talked about in Crossing the Rubicon, where Dick Cheney used these prowler teams to go in at night with the gas that gassed the room, so you could, wreak havoc while, everyone in the house is asleep. Yes, some drug rape did occur. That's going to be an unfortunate side effect. Again, there's so many good people in the United States Secret Service. It's just this little group called the Pope's Mafia. This is Joe Clancy. He's going to be doing favors for Podesta. And just this small group of guys that are, it's the same group of guys that are in Colombia with all the prostitutes and in the hobnobbing with all the cartels and stuff like that. And the guys who are passed out in Europe at the parties in Europe. So it's that group. It's the same group that's going to be going to Jeffrey Epstein's island. And I worked with Carol Leonig of the Washington Post, Pulitzer Prize winner, on that story. And I just didn't have quite all the pieces in place yet. And she said, I got to pass on this. So anyway, I hope at some point I could get back with her, because she's a great journalist. So I just wanted to say that I didn't pick this up. Michael Rupert was all over this 12 years ago now. And Doug Coe, I don't know if I made this clear. He's not just in the U.S. He doesn't have just enforcer responsibilities in the U.S. They're international, especially in Africa. He's he gets involved in a lot of elections in Africa. I'm sure he was involved in Haiti. And he's the guy who kind of goes in and sets up the assassins, or sets up the people to mark people for death. So in Haiti, it's going to be Guy Philippe. He's going to have a guy working with Guy Philippe. He's also going to be having the people working with the medical teams. There's always going to be one guy on the medical team that comes in late for the graveyard shift that doesn't quite fit in with everybody else. That's going to be either your DynCorp. Usually these guys are probably hired by DynCorp when they go overseas. That's where you're going to have the people dying between 3 and 5 a.m. Oh, yeah, you just didn't make it through the graveyard shift tonight. The pillow, this is the pillow in the face of Scalia kind of thing. Or the other one they do is they turn the oxygen way down, and they act like the person's not wanting their oxygen. They hold the oxygen on them, and that's another way of suffocating them. So there's several different ways. But all these nurses are working really hard, and they're, everybody's doing a great thing. And all of a sudden, there's this one person over here. And again, this is another way of using the people in these NGOs as human shields. Because if I criticize them, they're going to go, "That's crazy. I went down there. I helped people. That's ridiculous." So it's just another way of using human shields, which CIA is really good at. So I'll get to the State Department thing in a minute. This is the mafia. This is the Pope's Mafia inside the Secret Service. They let people jump over the wire, over the White House fence, and get all the way to the Lincoln bedroom with their hand on the Lincoln bedroom, and then they're tackled conveniently right there. That's to let the president know, hey, your life is in our hands, and oh, by the way, NDAA vote is coming up, and we don't really want any problems. So that's the kind of thing that if you just remove that little piece from the Secret Service, Joe Clancy, if you don't remember Joe Clancy, as soon as Jason Chaffetz was saying, hey, there was a bomb put in, in front of the White House and it took you 36 minutes to call the police, and then he had a team of 50 people attack Jason Chaffetz's personnel file. You only have to remove a small piece of this. Joe Clancy's pretty old anyway. I think he probably should just retire, do what the rest of the State Department people do. But he's working with McCabe over at the FBI, and he's attacking everyone who's one slot above him his whole career, and he just keeps moving up as a counterterrorism guy by using these kind of what they call deep dive attacks, where 50 agents go in and go through your whole background, everything you ever wrote. And then they came up with the fact that he didn't do well on a Secret Service entrance exam. So, which it could have been altered, actually, by the way. Anyway, the big news today is obviously everyone in the State Department at senior levels is leaving. Entire senior management team at State Department just resigned. Well, the reason I said is because you can't use Gmail anymore. It's going to be a felony, and under Sessions, it's going to be enforced. So that leaves you with no ability to communicate to your USAID contacts overseas, unless anything you say on the phone or whatnot can be caught by the NSA. So you're in real trouble. You're cut off from your inventory, if you will. You're cut off if you are stocking things like resource reports for oil or gas or minerals, or if you are involved in the child trafficking thing like USAID and the UN has been for a long time, you're in trouble. You're cut off. There's no way you can communicate with your network. There's no encryption the NSA can't break. So the only thing you can do is resign. Now, what I believe they'll do is resign and say, oh, we're protesting Trump. And now's the time when you attack. Now's the time when you do the stingers in O'Hare. And, you get Nieto to say I'm insulted or whatever. And then you do the stingers in O'Hare and say, oh, if only we would have been there, we would have prevented it. That kind of thing. So I think it's until Tillerson gets in, I think it's a very dangerous time right now. So this only is going to get worse. I think everyone in State Department realizes that Israel, China, and Russia have these emails, and they can dole these things out one at a time to ruin people's career and send them to jail for 30 years. So the longer people stay in positions like this and don't recuse themselves, you're just setting yourself up. And there's two other nations that have this as well, with North Korea and who else? Anyway, I can't remember. But there's two other nations here as well. So you've got 5 people this is like playing 5-dimensional chess. There's to figure out who's going to do what. It's in the FBI's own best interest to release these in tranches in metadata, 100,000 week 1, 100,000 week 2, 100,000 week 3, at least to give the impression that you are trying to follow the case. So, or at least 20,000 a day metadatas, whatever it is, but it's got to be a healthy schedule. It can't be this 5 years, and then we won't get anything till the next election. I'll say it again. No grand jury, no subpoenas, no court orders. This is Kallstrom, Assistant Deputy Chief of the FBI. Immunity to the conspirators, immunity to everyone on the interview. I mean, these are crazy things that FBI never does. I believe, by the way, that they all 19 got immunity, and I believe Hillary got immunity as well in a secret deal. You heard it here first. So what I wanted to say was a couple of people in the organ donation business, the organ recovery business, talked to me and said, hey, what's really bad about the organ business is you're usually going to get people that are older, hearts from people that are older, overweight, fatty livers, kidneys. They've, been filtering bad stuff all their life. The hearts are weak and flabby. They're not these strong hearts. The 25-year-old heart from the, Olympic runner, like you're going to get in a Jamaican runner or a person in a baseball program in the Dominican Republic, is going to be a much better heart if you're Dick Cheney, or you're, Doug Coe of the Brotherhood, So if the brother, you can see where this is going. It's kind of like a Cosa Nostra. It's kind of like a mafia. You got the little mafia, the Pope's mafia inside the Secret Service. You got the mafia inside all the informants. You got another, mafia inside the FBI with the counterterrorism division. You got DynCorp, which is a mafia, nothing other than a mafia, with government backing. So again, you really don't have to excise much of this stuff to drain the swamp. I think today we made a great start. I think you just have to go to, down the line. You got to go to Secret Service. You got to go to FBI. For instance, you could keep combing. You just got to say to McCabe, look, you have to at least recuse yourself and publish the metadata. And by the way, over at DOJ, Kadzik has got to go. That whole thing has got to end. So those are the next things. Those, again, Trump has friends, so those emails are going to come out. I think it's better just to take the immunity deal now and get out. What I was going to say is also a big contractor for, DynCorp not only does these security, like they did the security for Karzai in Afghanistan with these sniper teams and so forth. And, like Chris Stevens obviously was kind of a DynCorp thing. It might be GRS, maybe the name, but then it's probably DynCorp subcontracting. But then there's this on-site hospital services, on-site OHS. You're going to find, this is where you're going to find the organ harvesting. And again, it's not going to be the nurses that are working really hard. It's going to be that one guy, that one orderly that doesn't quite fit in. And he's going to have the long beard, and he's like, he's going to look more like a biker. He looks like maybe he just got out of prison. He's going to have all the tattoos, that kind of thing. And he's going to, he's going to be talking to you in the morning. Oh, a whole bunch more died last night. About 5 more. They got evac'd out of here. We've sent them to organ recovery. So I'm going to keep this one short. I just wanted to kind of cover the. I wanted to cover the State Department thing, also I think the same thing at Treasury. Jack Lew at Treasury has to resign here. I think Manchin is the new Secretary of the Treasury, and then I think you have to drill down on this, because if Trump doesn't know that DynCorp is this $6.5 trillion, and he doesn't know about the Promise software, and he doesn't know about Planeteer, like I said before, he's completely hobbled. What they got to do is go in and make a secret deal and say, oh, okay, I see what's going on. Hey, okay, you guys need to get out now. We need a whole bunch of resignations, and let's bring in, the other folks. She went from Treasury over to the Fed, just to prove my point. So, and what happens just keep looking at it. What happens in Africa is going to go to Haiti. It's going to go to Chicago. That's it for this one.